Everyone, and thanks so much for tuning in to the How to Hero YouTube channel. My name's Sean, and I'm here to help you awaken the hero that's inside of you. There's a hero inside of all of us. And today I want to talk about finding your purpose. How do you do that? And I'm going to give you very practical steps that you can follow that really helped me to narrow things down, figure out exactly what I wanted to do when I decided that I wanted to become a life coach or a spiritual coach for people, specifically for people that are going through an awakening process or they're somewhere on that journey. And I don't like the word journey because it's used so much, but that's really what the whole thing is. It's like a never-ending journey. It's the never-ending story. Anyways, I digress. So let's just get straight into the steps. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take every single thing that you're interested in. You're gonna take your interests that are just particular topics. You're gonna take your interests that are more practical things, like let's say you're into technology like I am. You're gonna list that stuff out. You're gonna list out the roles that you play in your life. Are you a father? Are you somebody who mediates things? Are you some kind of coach already? Are you a therapist? How does your professional life already play into things? And is there a way for you to kind of ricochet that? What tends to happen is, as we experience this awakening, our whole priorities, our whole belief structures change. Everything shifts, and the things that used to give us some joy don't tend to fulfill us quite as well as they used to. And so you really need to consider what these things are that you're doing already, and maybe there's a way to integrate. And that's where you may be able to have some quick success. So you definitely want to consider kind of what you're already doing. And then also things that you're just good at. It could be art, it could be something creative, music, something like that. Something that you kind of thought you could never do, like limiting beliefs have stopped you. I don't feel like I'm good enough at doing XYZ, so I'm not going to do it. Whenever I try to play guitar, I've never done great. And I'm speaking just from my own truth right now, right? I play guitar and I sing and stuff. There's a couple videos on my channel of me doing that. And at one point I thought that might be my purpose. But I had very clear messages for my true self that although that's something I may do, it's I don't think my purpose at this point in time anyways. But you want to list all of that stuff out because it'll make more sense as we get into the next step. So after you get your whole list done, you want to circle the things that feel joyous to you. And so you're gonna have to kind of sit quietly and think about this a little bit. Don't rush it too much. Don't get too carried away with going deep into what each thing would entail yet. Basically, you want to just kind of feel it out. So if you have playing guitar as one of your things, feel that out. Like, does that feel great? And does it feel joyous? Does it feel like if you do that, you will be bringing yourself joy? That's one of the key things here, because whatever you're gonna do for your true purpose, for your mission in life, and your mission is gonna change probably, and things are gonna shift, and you'll go through periods, and you'll try to transition into what's natural. The universe will show you signs. The universe will give you opportunities, and then the opportunities may change, right? So you may do something for a while and then decide, you know what, it's time to write a book, and do that. So writing a book might be on your list, right? And if you think about the process of writing a book, you're gonna get kind of bogged down in the details. So you don't want to get there yet. This is very high level. What you want to do is have a list of like 10 or 15 things that you like. And if you don't have 10 or 15 things that you like, then you need to really kind of sit down and think about what you want to try, because it's possible you just don't have enough experience in life. Not in life, but in hobbies, in interests. You may need to experiment with some different things. Maybe you need to build those little ships that they put in the bottles and stuff like that. Maybe you love that stuff, but you just don't know because you've never tried it. So you need to try to expand your horizons a bit. And then when you've done that, then you can kind of come back to this and start the process. The next step is to do a mental exercise on the particulars of each task. So if you're going to play guitar, what does your day look like when you're a guitar player? What kind of things are you going to do in the day? So you've already narrowed it down to things that bring you joy. Now you want to narrow it down to things that you can accept 80% or so of the tasks. What you want to do is have the tasks listed out, the different things that are going on with the actual task itself. Once you've done that, then you can kind of get an idea of, okay, well, if I'm a guitar player, I'm going to have to edit music. That's something that I'm going to have to do. Generally speaking, you're not going to just kind of play guitar without editing it. Now, that may be what you want to do. You want to have a very natural type sound, a very raw sound, and that's fine too. But what you want to do is really think about the actual process. If you're going to write a book, does sitting down and writing a book every day for hours feel like something that you want to do? Does that feel like good for you? Does it feel joyous? Because if it doesn't, then you're maybe not on the right track there. So this is where you take the pieces that the tasks or the interests or the different things that felt good to you, and then you narrow them down. You start to list out a little bit of what you would actually do in a day, and then from there kind of have a bit of a picture. And if you're not sure what somebody that does that does in a day, go find someone that does that and see what they're doing. See how they're distributing their stuff, see what their entire thing is that they're doing, and try to put yourself in their shoes and just imagine the stuff that goes into it in the background that maybe you don't see. Because everything that you do is going to have these aspects that you just don't like they're going to be things you dislike. So I want to coach people, but what I don't like doing is all the scheduling and trying to deal with all that and then manage my pricing and I really like making websites, but I don't like writing the kind of the superficial stuff that would go on a website. I like writing deep things. I don't like writing stuff like that. I feel uncomfortable writing about myself. So if I have to write my about me page, these are things I don't want to do, but I kind of have to do them, at least until I can pay somebody to do it for me or something, right? So you want to consider the whole thing. Try to get pretty detailed here. At this point, you probably want to have I would say 5-ish ideas. You want to kind of have it narrowed down a little bit by now. Then it's my opinion that you should look at the tasks or the goals, the different things that you might do, and look at which ones provide real value to people, which ones are kind of benevolent in nature, which ones make you feel good about what other people are getting out of it. Because that's most likely, in my experience, based on people I've talked to and my own experience as well, those are the things, those are the keys. That tends to be where the magic happens, where you're doing something that not only do you enjoy doing the thing that you're doing, but you also enjoy the value that you're giving to the person. So if you're playing guitar, the value could be their enjoyment of the song, right? You may not get any value out of that. You may not care if they enjoy the song. You may just like making it, and that's fine too. But I think what you're going to find is, if you also let's say you wrote songs that you think really support people through emotional times. You feel like your songs will help people get through times, which helps you to be more passionate about the music you're making. That's going to be much more powerful than I just want to make songs and I just want people to listen to them so that I'm compensated. Because really if you're not making them for somebody to gain a value, then you're making them really for yourself. And you're not going to be as tuned into it as if you're on this type of spiritual path anyways. Of course, if you just want to be like a businessman or woman, that's a different story. Maybe that's something you want to do, and maybe you have an end goal there. Like maybe you want to become a CEO to a company so that you can really try and influence change in that company or something like that. That's acceptable as well. So it doesn't have to be entrepreneurial in nature, although I'm kind of focusing on that because that's kind of where my mindset is, and I think that that's where the most value can come from for most people if they shift their perspective a little bit, and some of those limiting beliefs that they had about whether or not they could even do entrepreneurial work, they would often just think, oh well, I can't figure that out. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. Everything you can just figure out as you go. Honestly, you're smart enough. It's not that hard to figure it out. You need a website, figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, you're capable. Google, how do I make a website? And you'll be able to figure it out nowadays. You know, maybe 7 to 10 years ago, it was not so simple. It was not as simple. It was still not too bad, but you'd have to learn more. And it wasn't so click and drop. Like, you can set up a WordPress site like this and really get just a little small platform ready for you very easily. So, you know, don't get hung up on those details. You don't have to learn every single piece before you go. That's something else. That's just a side note. So once you've tapered it down to a few different options, you want to look at monetization strategies, because let's face it, you need to make a living. Unless we're talking about what you want to do that doesn't have anything to do with money, and you still want to work your job, let's say, because there's no rule here. There's no just by like shining your light, just by being present and being a force of good in the world, you're doing your job. So you can go to work. Let's say you work at Denny's. You can go to work at Denny's every day, and that's fine. That's great. And you could be this light that's in Denny's, and that people, your customers, come to you. They'll feel your presence, and that will change them a little bit. And that's doing enough. And then on the side, maybe you want to paint, and maybe you don't even want to show your paintings. That's fine. That's fine. But what I'm talking about here is if you want to do it as like a vocation, if you want to paint and you don't want to work at Denny's anymore, you want to paint, you need to consider how you're going to actually make money there. I don't know anything about painting or how you would make money with painting. I know obviously you could sell your paintings, of course. You could sell digital prints of them. You could make a website with a gallery. You could do like local gallery shows and things like that. Those just come to mind as somebody, I don't even know anything about any of that stuff. I could even be wrong about it, but it seems right to me, right? It seems fairly straightforward. You do these various things, and then there's a lot, I'm sure, of things I'm not even thinking of that you could do with painting. So you want to list out. You've kind of got an idea of what your the things that you might want to do that can give value to other people. So you have those kind of narrowed down, and then now you're going to take those things and figure out how you might monetize each one. And how do you feel about that monetization strategy? Do you feel smarmy? Or do you feel, yeah, this is fair. I think this is a fair, balanced strategy. If it doesn't feel balanced, you're gonna have guilt. You're gonna have feelings of disharmony, because the exchange of money and the exchange of value is just energy. And so when you exchange energy in an uneven way, then you're going to be setting yourself up for pain later. The last thing you want to do is feel into it. And so I recommend doing a breathing exercise, just kind of having a couple options, maybe 3 options at this point. Breathe in for 6 seconds. Hold for 2. Out for 6. Now, I didn't do full 6 seconds there, but even just doing that, regulating your breath, does so much. Do it all day. I recommend it. But anyways, do that and really think, really try to feel which one resonates the most. Which one of these 3 things, just boom. if you're able to kind of get still and present, you may find that it just pops. It's obviously this one. And that's kind of what happened with me. And that's how I managed to kind of just go, oh, I get it. I know what I'm supposed to do. And so that's what I recommend. Those are the steps. But finally, the most important thing is once you've picked a route, start going, start moving. Maybe you need to make a little bit of plans, but don't overplan. Don't get stuck in that, what do they call it? Analysis paralysis. You could think about this thing all day long. And the problem too with thinking about it all day long and thinking about how you're going to do it is your brain kind of gets convinced you're already doing it. And so it's kind of using that motivation that you have as you're thinking about it. You're using your willpower and motivation to kind of think about this stuff. And then when it comes time to actually do it, you're going to be like, well, I've kind of already done it. Your brain kind of gets confused. If you think about the goal too much, your brain feels like you've already done it. You've already got there. So you really want to just make a light plan, a generic plan, and then figure things out as you go, providing that will work. So you do want to like keep an eye out for different obstacles that you're going to encounter. If you're going to be a coach, for example, there's some systems you want to get in place. There's some things that you want to make sure are ready before you start asking people to pay you generally. However, technically, you don't have to do that. You don't need to have those systems. You don't need to have ways for people to book with you easily. You can manage all that yourself, but those things would help you. And so if you can figure those things out quickly, great. But otherwise, you really want to just start getting some focused effort in on your task and in on your goals so that you can start living the purpose. And then as you go, maybe it starts to feel not right for some reason, and you switch and transition. And that's how you kind of maneuver through and figure it out. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please consider clicking that like button. I'd really appreciate it. It helps out the channel. If you want to see more of the stuff I'm making, consider subscribing. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Take care.